Hello. Hello, welcome all. Can you catch me well? Yes. Priyanka ma'am,
Yes,
can you
yes.
catch me well? Okay. So,
Yes.
yes. Just a minute. Few participants are waiting. So, we would wait for 2 minutes and then we will start. Yes, many people are connecting with us. And so, just 1 more minute we would wait. And I will start this webinar. Yes, so it's almost a time now, and I think we should start. And yes, hello, I'm Suchita Mahurkar, and I welcome you on behalf of Tejas Ambassadors. Tejas Ambassadors is the journey we had started since 2.5 years now, and most of the participants found this is useful. Why? Because here we had developed a special culture of Ubuntu, sharing and learning together, becoming better together. So in this series, we had arranged almost 4 webinars about assessing. This is our 5th attempt to try something new. And this time, our host, none other than Mr. Suyog Dixit, sir, a very versatile personality, had come up with a very new theory of learning, and that is connectivism. So before we start, and uh, before we start, let's have a quick icebreaker activity or a fun activity, if you permit me. Okay, can you see this slide now? Please raise your thumb like this. Just raise your thumb like this. Okay, now Gururaj sir, please unmute yourself. Yes. Yes. So this is a brain game, and you would get just few seconds. There are few words over there. You're not going to read the words, but you're going to recognize the color. Can you go for it? Would you like to try? Yes. The first one is which
Yes,
is the
I
color?
would like to try. Suchita.
Okay.
Yeah, Rupali.
First one is red, and the second one is
Blue.
it's blue. Okay,
Yeah,
Gururaj sir, your time
Green.
starts now.
Green, pink,
Yeah.
yellow,
Say all the
purple,
colors very fast.
red,
Okay.
blue,
Yes.
black,
Color is right.
green,
Yes.
yellow, pink.
Okay, Renu ma'am. Renu ma'am, yes, you had
Yes.
said it very well. Gururaj sir, would you like to try it?
Yeah.
Black, green, purple, orange.
Correct.
No. Yes, go on. Please. The time is fleeting away. Okay, Rupali ma'am, now it's your turn. Rupali ma'am, it's your turn.
Yes, yes. Red, blue, green, pink, yellow, purple, red, blue, black, green, yellow, pink. Sorry.
Okay, okay, very nice try. Yes, very nice. I must appreciate your attempt and it's very good. Let me admit few other participants. Okay, who else would like to try? Sanjeevani Parade madam, would you like to try? Sanjeevani
It's
madam.
red. Yeah, ma'am.
Yes.
Red, blue, then green, pink, yellow, purple, then red, and blue, black, green, yellow, pink.
Wow, very nice. Okay. Yes, thank you very much. This was just a
Thank
fun
you.
activity. And now I would like to go back. Yes. So now I would like to hand over this session to Mr. Suyog Dixit sir. I hope you had liked this session, and this is just this is just an ice-breaking activity. And now I would like to hand over to Suyog Dixit sir. Suyog Dixit sir, when you say yes, I will share this PPTs. Over to you.
Okay, so are you going to share the PPTs by your end? Okay, that's fine for me, no issue. So you can just start sharing, no issue. Perfect. So good afternoon, and I hope you all are doing good. And today we are here discussing something interesting about connectivism. So here are a few instructions before we start. First thing, please mute yourself. Secondly, please, if you have any issue while listening to me, so please turn off your video. So this will save bandwidth and you can hear me clearly. Grab a pen and paper. So at times, if you might need to make some notes, that will be helpful to you. And if you have any questions, please use the chat box. I'll be keeping track of the chat box. Next one. Next one. You skipped one. Second one. Second one. Second one. Yeah. So this is our topic for presentation today, connectivism. And this is what we are going to discuss. So covering connectivism, say like in 40 minutes, that is next to impossible. But let's just try to touch few key ideas of connectivism and what does that mean. So this is what our focus will be. And again, this will be a little bit more input type of session, and there will be very less interaction. So I'm sorry for that. But like there are too many things to be covered. Next one. So this is the overview of our presentation. We'll just have a brief look on the pre-existing theories. Then we'll have a short discussion about few of the next generation theories, and then we'll discuss about the key aspects of connectivism. Next.
Shukane.
Tanajisa, please mute yourself. Tanajisa, please mute yourself. Okay, so the story starts with Plato in say like 420 before Christ and all that. Ma'am, please mute Tanaji sir. Tanaji sir, could you please mute yourself? Anyway, so as I was telling, the story starts in say like 428 BC before Christ, where there was this gentleman Plato, and as he has different questions, he asked a question: how does an individual learn something new when the topic is brand new to the person? So this was a question by Plato, and he tried to answer it in his own way. Like, every person has all the knowledge from his birth, and whatever he learned, it's like just recollecting the things. So that is what Plato's observation was. So thank you, Shweta ma'am, for this. But what Plato said was like, every person knows everything from his birth, and whenever he comes across some new information, it is like just the recollection of knowledge. So that's what Plato's take was about this. And afterwards, when people came, ma'am, could you please mute Tanaji sir? Tanaji sir, please mute yourself. Anyway, so as I was telling, so after Plato, different people came, they proposed different theories, and like John Locke was there, who said that human is blank slate in the beginning, and all different theories. Now if we think about last century, there were three important theories that made a big mark. So next slide please, ma'am. So these are three learning theories that made a big mark in last century: behaviorism, cognitivism, and constructivism. So here's a small activity for you. It's a match the pair activity. So what you're going to do, you're going to type in just the number and letter in the chat box. So for example, you can type 1A, 2B, 3C, something like this in the chat box. And then let's see. And you have say like 30 seconds for this. Just a match the pair then, ma'am. But thank you for this. So just match the pairs. 30 seconds for it. Okay, Prasanna sir. Sudhakar sir. Okay, I have that lockdown look. Huh? Gujarat sir, Shivangi ma'am, 1C, 2B, 3A. Okay, CBA, CBA, CBA. Okay, something interesting. So see, as we know, let's check the answers now. Next slide, ma'am. Next slide, ma'am, please. So these are the answers. Please check. So as we know, behaviorism, previous one. Don't annotate. Don't annotate. Okay, so as we know, behaviorism, that is about brings about visible changes in behavior. So behaviorist thinks that learning is all about bringing visible changes in behavior. Cognitivism, that is a sort of response to behaviorism. In cognitivism, it's like a PC type of model. You give some inputs to a kid, and he processes the inputs, stores the inputs. This is what we call as cognitivism. And constructivism, that I think it's the most happening thing right now in Maharashtra. We know everything about constructivism. We say that learner is the constructor of knowledge. He builds his own knowledge. So this is what constructivism is. So these three theories have made a big mark, and even in this century also, in 21st century also, these theories are working. So for example, what we say mindfulness or counter conditioning, that is a branch of behaviorism. Again, applied behavior analysis is also there. That is also working in 21st century. So these theories are again working in this era also. But these theories have certain issues or problems. That's what we are going to discuss next. Ma'am, next slide. Sujita ma'am, next slide, please. Is she there? Yeah, thank you. So all these theories, let's take behaviorism, let's take cognitivism, let's take connectivism. All these theories consider a basic principle that learning occurs inside a person. So idea is that person gains some knowledge. That's what we call learning, and this learning occurs always inside a person. Now, isn't that quite obvious? Because I also think it's the same. But again, it has some problems, some issues. We'll discuss it in coming presentation. So this is one key assumption that we can say all these three theories make. Next one. So if you take all these three theories, behaviorism, cognitivism, connectivism, for all these three theories, knowing something is important. Fine. So, and ideally, it was like in earlier era, say like till last century, it was when used to get some knowledge in his school days, college days, and based on this knowledge, what he has got in his school or college days, he can go for his life because knowledge won't change that much throughout his lifetime. But that's not the case today. Today, the structure of knowledge is evolving. The structure of knowledge is changing very rapidly. So this is what we call as rapidly evolving information ecology. So to elaborate my point, I just explain two ideas in knowledge. First one is knowledge doubling curve, and the second one is half-life of knowledge. So what is knowledge doubling curve? So it was proposed by Buckminster Fuller. So according to him, in 19th century, knowledge used to double every century. So like if I have some knowledge and to double that knowledge, it used to take 100 years. Then by second world war, the time was like 25 years, and today knowledge doubles every 13 months. And with the invention of like internet of things, it is said that knowledge may double in 12 or 8 years, 8 earths. So uh, the message is very loud and clear that we can't just rely on knowledge. Like we learn something and we can't go with this. And in addition to this knowledge doubling curve, there's one more thing, that is half-life of knowledge. So half-life of knowledge is the time it takes for half of the widely accepted facts in any field to become obsolete. So like there are some facts, those get old, obsolete. This is what we call as half-life of knowledge, and the half-life of knowledge is shrinking nowadays. So these two concepts, these two ideas tell us that now this is not the era where we learn something in our school days or college days and we can go on with that knowledge throughout a lifetime. That is not the possibility here. So whatever knowledge based theories we have, they all have their own limitation. So now, rather than knowing something, the process of learning is much more important. And as I have mentioned, now there are many instances, even you must have seen such instances, where we need to act by drawing information outside our primary knowledge. Like we don't know something, we just find that information, we get the knowledge, and then we act on that. So this is a common phenomena that we can observe with this. So see, there are two problems we have discussed. The first one was all these three theories think learning happens only inside a person. Second problem, the structure of knowledge is changing very quickly, and this changing structure of knowledge has brought its own problems. So that these are the two important issues or problems for these pre-existing theories. Now, as a response to these things, the next thing was there, that is next generation theories. Next slide, please. So let's see the next generation theories. The first next generation theory that we have, that is chaos. So as it says, chaos says learning is fluid, dynamic, and non-linear process. So we can't define learning in particular shape. It's ever changing. That's what we call dynamic. And it's a non-linear process. So what does this non-linear means? That it's not always something like this, that 2 plus 2 equals 4. So this is not the case everywhere. So that's why we say that learning is a non-linear process. So when we are dealing with maths, it's a fact. 2 plus 2 always equals 4. But when we are dealing with kids or students, it's not always like I give this stimulus and the kid will respond in this manner. So that's why we say that learning is fluid, dynamic, and non-linear. This is actually postulated by chaos theory. The second postulated by chaos theory is teaching is a non-determinate behavior. Chaos theory, the third and very famous postulate, that is everything is connected to everything. You must have heard of butterfly effect. That is the third postulate, in fact. So everything is connected to everything. And the last postulate by chaos, that is learning is understanding patterns. So as I'm saying that everything is connected to everything. So what is learning? Learning is to identify the pattern among all these things. That is what learning is. So these are the postulates of chaos theory. Next slide, ma'am, please. The next theory is network theory. Network actually as a learning theory. So network explain what is network. Network is the connection between entities, nodes and links. So according to this theory, developing and maintaining connections with people and information is important. And the next postulate of network theory is individual contributes and draws information from the network. So these are the postulates of network theory. And in 2005, next slide please. And in 2005, Simmons and Downs, in two different papers, proposed the idea of connectivism. They proposed two papers, and the idea was connectivism was there. So afterwards, they also have started the MOOC. The first MOOC, the MOOC name itself was given to the course by Dave Cormier. That is Connectivism and Connecting Knowledge. That was again launched in 2000, and that is called to be the first MOOC. So this was the beginning of connectivism as a learning theory. So what is that connectivism? Let's see the definition of the connectivism. Next. So this is the definition of connectivism. Connectivism is a learning theory that claims individual's knowledge is distributed and resides not only in his brain, but also in connections with electronic and human components, which the learner has developed in the course of his learning. According to the connectivism, meaningful learning is a process that requires a network environment that is open to interactions at varying levels of intensity. So what the connectivism says? It says our knowledge does not reside only in our brain, but it also resides in different electronic devices. Now, as you can see, as Suchita ma'am is operating the PPT for me, so that PPT, that is half of my knowledge of presentation, that is with her now. So the knowledge, yeah, well said, Sudhakar sir, blended connection. Again, as you must have seen, someone asks us, is Suttenchi Adi there? And Suttenchi Adi is in my mobile. So I check that mobile phone, find the Suttenchi Adi, and tell whether there's a holiday or not. So what is happening here? I'm storing that knowledge in electronic devices also. So we nowadays we don't store the knowledge inside our brain only. We store the knowledge in electronic devices, maybe laptop, maybe computer, maybe mobile phone. So this is the first thing, and not only in electronic devices but also in human components also. So what do I mean by that? So it is like when you are working with an organization, everyone has some different specialty and they all work together. So when there's some issue or problem, there's a general example. Say one of your friend is really geek with mobile phones. So whenever you want to buy a new mobile phone, you don't get and store all this knowledge in your brain. You just ask that person. So what we are doing right now, we are storing, yeah, well said Vikram sir. We are storing the knowledge in our laptops, mobile phone, that is electronic media. Again, we are storing the knowledge with our friends also. So this is what connectivism is. And according to connectivism, meaningful learning requires a network environment. So there are different networks and the interaction is of different intensity. So that is not what we are going to discuss in this presentation. But in short, there are different types of network. So this is what connectivism thinks. So after the definition of connectivism, let's go to the postulates of connectivism. Next slide, please. Yeah, well said, sir. Ashok sir. So let's see the basic principles of connectivism. Exactly, ma'am, collaboration. So the first principle of connectivism, individual, is the starting point of the network of connectivism. So an individual is the starting point, and the next point is cycle of knowledge development. So what is this? See what happens. I know something. So for example, there's a network, for example, Tejas Ambassador. Yes. So Tejas Ambassador is a network. So what I do, whatever I know, I pour that information into that network. Fine. So that's why I'm the starting point of this process. I have poured that information into that network in that Tejas Ambassador. And whenever I need some information of any type, I'll draw the information from the network again. So what is happening? This is what we call a cycle of knowledge development. I am contributing to the development. Yes, well said, Janima, again. So I'm contributing to the development of knowledge of that network, of that institution, of that organization, and in return, that network or that organization is also helping to develop my own knowledge. So this is a cyclic process. This is what we call as cycle of knowledge development. The next one, thank you, Sudhakar sir. Yeah, outsourcing your knowledge. Knowledge can be recycled, reused, and used to create new knowledge. Exactly, well said, Gauri. So, ma'am, did we miss the slide? Suchita, ma'am, did we skip the slide? Please go to the upper one. Yeah. So, interdependence of individual within an organization results into effective knowledge flow. So, when the knowledge flow is good, when I am depending on a network for knowledge, and the network is also dependent on me for the knowledge, and there's a good network connection, the link is good, the network is good, that's there where the knowledge flow is good. The next one, learning and knowledge rests in diversity of opinions. That's a quite obvious fact now. So for example, I am working with an organization of 10 people, and all these 10 people have same skill sets, same knowledge. Then there won't be any significance of that network. Well said, gentlemen, well said. So when I'm saying if everyone has the same opinion, same views, same expertise, then the network is of no use. So when learning and when there is diversity of opinions, at that time the learning and knowledge is really fruitful and useful, and the network is in healthy condition. Again, the next one, learning may reside in non-human appliances. I already have discussed this thing, whether that may be a laptop, that may be a mobile phone. So these are non-human appliances also, and wherever the knowledge reside, let that be a human, let that be any electronic device, this is what we call as node. And the relation between two nodes is what we call as link. Next slide, please. So as I was telling, everything, whether that may be human, that may be an electronic device, wherever the knowledge is stored, that is what we call as node. And the connection between two nodes is called as link. So learning is the process of connecting specialized nodes or information sources. So there are different information sources. Things is what learning is. See, this is a new definition for learning now. What is learning? We just connect different things. Those are available. This is learning by connectivism. And the next postulate is, in addition to know what and know how, those used to be the keywords in last century, know what, know how. But the next keyword is know where. So in addition to know what and know how, know where is also important. So that is the next principle of connectivism. So the next thing, earlier remembering too many things, that was a core skill, but nowadays the core skill is ability to connect with different fields, different nodes, different ideas, to connect things, to see the patterns. That is the new skill for connectivism. And one more and important thing, well said, Sanjanis ma'am, exactly well said. The ability to draw distinctions between important and unimportant information is vital. So there is different information coming. You are also experiencing these things very nicely. Like on our WhatsApp also, there's a downpour of messages. There are different messages coming. So to see what is important to us and what is not important, this ability, this skill is really important. And as connectivism says, decision making is a learning process. So these are the basic principles of connectivism. Next slide, please. So let's see teaching learning in view of connectivism. So as connectivism say, to teach is to model and demonstrate. To learn is to practice and reflect. So see, we have this knowledge-based learning ecosystem or schooling system, where we just give some knowledge to our kids by some or other way. And now this thing is not going to help them for their lifetime. Even you must have seen engineers nowadays. Yes, I am coming to that. Good question. So the knowledge is getting obsolete. The things are changing very fast. So whatever knowledge we are going to give the students, that is not going to last for his lifetime. So instead of giving knowledge, to show them how to get the knowledge, to model things, that is the job of teacher. And to learn is to practice and reflect. Teacher is a curator, and he himself is an expert learner. Internet can be seen as an ecology of learning, where we can get the information, draw the information from internet, and we can use blended learning approach. So next slide. Next slide, please. Yeah, so this is where I finished my presentation. I'm sorry if it is too much heavy or too much boring, but like I tried to touch the important aspects of connectivism in my presentation. Um, I'm sharing few links here in the chat box. You can just save chat and use these links afterwards for your reference. Um, you can visit my blog also. So this is all from my side. Thank you for your patience. Thank you very much. Over to you, Suchita ma'am.
Yes, so that was a fantastic learning experience, and it's a new learning theory, and we must all agree that yes, this is something new, and yes, we have very less time limit with us, so I request you all to put your questions in the chat box as early as you can, so that we can cater or address those questions in our WhatsApp group or to the person respective, to the respective person. Okay, so now,
Definitely.
yeah. So now quickly we can go for any one question. So Suyog sir, do you find any question? Because I was very busy in
Yeah.
admitting the people.
Sudhakar sir has asked a question: how these things can be applied to primary learners? See, sir, in primary classes also we focus on delivering information, and we think that is to be a core skill or important skill. But to help them find their own information from their friends, from them others, from books. So this is the important aspect. That's what I believe. So giving knowledge or having knowledge is less important. To know how to gain knowledge or to learn things, that is more important. So we can model these things in from primary classes also. This is what I think. Then again, as Suchita ma'am says, we have very short time remaining. So if you have any question, do share these things on a WhatsApp group personally to me, and will certainly address these things. Thank you very much.
Okay, now I hello, can you hear me? My voice is trembling. So I request Vikram Tekare sir to give the thanks, share his thank you notes. Over to you, Vikram sir. Vikram sir, are you there?
Yes. Hello. Yeah. Is it audible? Hello.
Yes, sir, you are audible. Please.
Okay. Thank you, ma'am, and very good evening to all. It was a very great opportunity to have the best discussion the connectivism with the great and versatile personality, Mr. Suyog Dixit sir. He has tried well to provide some great examples and this what are the principles of that the pre and the post theories about the connectivism. So I'm very happy to have such a great and fruitful discussion here, and On the behalf of all our Tejas ambassadors, I would like to say thanks to Suyog sir that you shared a very valuable and precious topic to us. With that, the many Tejas ambassador and dignitaries are with us for this session. So many personalities are there, such Vinod Sontakke sir, Ajita Ganzale madam, Archana Badguzar madam, Arvind sir, Bharat sir, Devidas sir. Again, Nadim Khan sir is there, Devidas Gosavi sir, Rajendra sir, Girish sir, and so many are there. So I would like to say thanks to those all the dignitaries that you reserved your precious time to us. So I would like to say thanks on the behalf of Tejas Ambassador. So thank you.
Yes, thank you one and all. I would like to personally thank to Renu Dhutre ma'am. Then here I can see on screen few of the well-known figures. Or so if I could not mention anybody, please don't take it personally. Sachin sir, then Vikram sir, Bharat Shahade sir, Sudhakar Katare sir, then Vinod Sontakke sir, Gururaj Mende sir, thank you very much. Rupali Zanjad, madam, thank you very much for joining on very short note. Shilpi Jain, ma'am, how can I miss you? How are you, ma'am? Uh, she's not audible, I think. And then Krishna sir, Krishna Dixit sir, it's a we are very fortunate to have you here. Krishna sir, would you like to say something about the host and the topic? Krishna Dixit sir. Uh, yes, Shilpi ma'am.
Yes, hello everyone. It was wonderful presentation. I really liked what you were saying. Let me just put it in perspective. Connectivism as a topic today is very relevant because we are seeing it live happening in the world around us during these COVID times. Someone did something in China and the whole world is affected. So that's connectivism in reality. And learning happens in the same way. If a virus can connect us, you can imagine what learning does to all of us. I hope you all...
Yes, very well, sir.
Right, madam. There is one more point. There's one more point that I would like to add.
Sure.
Learning should be, you have to make a decision what is authentic and what is not. So it's very relevant. Again, we are getting so much information on WhatsApp, news, this, that, and we are all flabbergasted. We are overloaded with information. And how we choose what we choose from authentic sources is what we are learning. What is fact?
Yes,
We are
yes.